Hello, right, you know me, I'm Richard Chamberlain, and I've been asked by several people over the years different things about Vaquera and the riding and thereof, but one of the things that people get confused with is tack and how it sits and how it gets put on. So today, because we're all locked up, I've decided to dig my saddle out for the first time, the Vaquera saddle, and we'll go through the motions of placing that on and show you how it goes about. So this is Bernie, he's just coming out of winter, he's still losing a little bit of coat. And I don't normally ride in the Vaquera saddle, so this is something that's I've literally been out of the cupboard for the first time this year. But we'll start with the tail. Come around this side, Bob. Now, this is a working, i.e. I've just got him out of the stable type of working knot. So it's not where I've groomed the tail or mucked about, it's literally I'm being practical. Yeah? So the first thing I want to do is just grab hold of a piece of the tail. There, you can probably see it, which is right at the end of the dock of the tail. Yeah? We want that little piece there. Now different tails have different ways they're easier tied up than others. With Bernie's tail, he's a little bit thin at the top as he rubs it occasionally. So I do a 3-strand style. But there's a lot of individual ways things can be done. So I'm going to leave that piece there. I'm going to pick another long piece and have that piece there. As I say, this is literally not for showing, this is for going down the school. So it's nice, quick and easy. Now, I've got my nice 3 pieces and I'm just going to start turning the tail. You turn it to a point where it really wants to try and fold over on itself. And I keep winding. Now as I get to here, I'm coming up to where the middle strand was. Yeah, so I pull it tight, and if you can see, I take the spare strand and I start mixing that with the end of the previous piece. Give it a good twist. It locks it together and it gives me more length. So I've now got a longer bit of tail. So we can take this further. Bernie's being a good boy. As I say, it's the first time he's had this done this winter. Try and wrap these little bits in a little bit. A little bit, yeah, repeat so. They all get twisted in, out of the way. So now I come to the last strand. I do the same thing again. Then I twist it all in together, which allows me to take it up a little bit further. I'm going to take it up to about pulling it as tight as possible. I'm going to tighten it better till I've got a length like this at the end. Now I've got this strand here. We start winding it round and round. A little bit fiddly.
So you're having a panda sesh.
Yeah. And we wind this the opposite way round to the way we wound the knot of the tail earlier. Pulling it tight till we get up to the top. I can go around another strand. I've got both bits together. Nice old Land Rover in the background. And we can quite happily keep twisting. And I'll twist it round and round and round until it sort of starts to fold up on itself. You see it start to kink. At that point, we can let it kink, and I can wrap this around several times at the base to tighten it up. Now, holding that with your thumb and forefinger, this is the awkward bit, because I've got to find the strand that is right in the bottom of here. And it's when you do it tight, it's good because it's going to hold it, but it also means you've got to get your thumb and forefinger in there. So I want it open enough so I can actually slip the knot down underneath and tuck. And it is as fiddly as it looks. So we've got the knot right underneath that other loop, holding it, and then you can do the funny bit with the moustache, split the hair, pull it, and it tightens the knot. So we've got a rustic, not particularly pretty with the ends. As I say, it's not for show, this is literally for going down to school, just to hold it out of the way. So that's the tail. So now we're going to move on to placing the saddle on and getting the rest of the horse ready. Neat. Okay, this is my Varquera saddle. Traditionally made, it is heavy. If I struggle with it, it is because it is heavy, but they're made of straw, and I'll go through it as we put it on and explain various different aspects of it. So, first thing is we get it up on the horse. Now, you'll notice I've got a lot of things tied up here. The reason I've tied it all up, as I undo it, it will explain. To place this onto the horse when it's heavy, with all the stirrups and everything hanging down, very difficult unless you've got two people. So what I do is I tie everything up first, plonk it on the horse, and then undo it. I'm sure there's various people in Spain that says, oh, we do it differently. I saw a guy doing it down in southern Spain in the Ref, and I thought, that's neat and tidy, and it made a lot of sense to me. So that's what we do. So to start with, we've got the girth, which is actually tied through the crupper, which is holding everything together. So that keeps the crupper out the way and the girth out the way, and I can lower the girth and the crupper down on either side. But the stirrups are still up there because I hold the stirrups together with another strap. This strap happens to be an old noseband Varquera strap, but anything will do, but it holds the stirrups out of our way. Okay, right, if you come to the tail, placing the tail on. What I tend to do is I move the saddle back a little bit, just to give me some space. Lift the tail up, crop her up, place that underneath, and then I can work the hair out. This I'll come back to in a minute. Let me check the rest of the saddle. Because I've got the crupper the length I need it, because I know this fits the horse, all I need to do is to bring the crupper up to the back end of the horse, and then the saddle sits in the right place. Come around here, Bob. The right place, if you look at the last bit of the hair on the mane there, is sitting virtually in line with the front of the saddle. So it's not more forward of that, and the shoulder, the scapula is here. So it's off the scapula, and some people say, oh, they don't fit very well at the front. All saddles need a certain amount of fitting to be right, but generally they fit very well. So if we go back to the back, we can see the crupper's tight. I can actually now just work that last little bit of hair out, which is important. It's important also to make sure that the crupper is well greased and oiled to make it comfortable for the horse. Now I haven't done the girth up yet, but I know that if I put my hand underneath there, I've got 4 fingers, which is about right for the crupper. Right, girth. Check that side. The girth. As I said, we know that this is a traditional made saddle, in the fact that all this under here, I don't know if Bobby can really show you, lower the camera down a bit, all this under here, all this leather work is filled with straw. Yeah, we've got the panels underneath, but all this is filled with straw, and this straw breaks down and helps to fit the horse. Yeah, the crupper comes up through the saddle and buckles up here at the front of the saddle. There are a variety of different makes of Varquera saddle, and some of them have a split, so that the crupper comes up through the top and is split into a V and has a buckle on either side. The idea is that when you're sat on the horse, if you need to, you can adjust the crupper accordingly. Not normally necessary. Now I'm going to lower these stirrups down first, and then I can show you how the girth fits. So the first thing I'm going to do, go around the other side and undo the strap. I can leave one up there, and we're not getting the stirrups flopping about all over the place. I can take the strap off. That can go there. Right. Now, if we look under here, we have the stirrups attached to the buckle, and the girth situated in front of where the stirrups sit. This should be the same with both types of crupper. Now there is a problem if you've got the Portuguese style or a mixed type style, which has got the furry piece around the front, in the fact that sometimes they are stitched through and you can't get the girth in this position. Makes it more awkward. I don't particularly like them, but traditionally that would sit in front of there, and then it sits in the right place around where the girth of the horse would be. I'm going to pull this through because the girth on the Varquera saddle is just a strap. It's not attached to the saddle. It literally just sits underneath and just wraps around. So we've got the buckle there, we've got the length of the strap that's going to go round in a minute. Right, I'm going to pull that back up from the other side. As you can see, I've got the buckle virtually in line with the other buckle of the stirrup leather. It keeps it out of the way. So I reach around and we take the leather and put it through the girth. It's a good hand's breadth behind the leg, exactly where a girth should sit, so everything's in the right place. Now if I can hold this up and do it with one hand. Right, so we've got the buckle there, through the strap and up through the top. You can tell my leather's all kinked because it's been sat there all winter. This now gives me a winch effect, 2-to-1 action winch effect, in the fact that it pulls up on that while I pull down on that. So if I tighten that up, I'm not going to tighten up too much yet because I'm not going to sit on him, but then I can put the buckle or the tangs of the buckle through the holes. As I say, I will tighten that up before I sit on him, but for these purposes I'll explain what happens to this end. There's a keeper here. If you were doing it up and you're ready to ride, the keeper goes through there and then you pass that over the top so it sits all neat and tidy. I will now explain the leathers, and they're not mega adjustable, so usually when somebody adjusts them for you, it's your saddle, you tend to leave it there. Yeah, so I mean it's going to be sitting in that spot, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes. That's fair enough. Basically the leather starts attached to the stirrup leather, so the actual piece of leather doubles back on itself on the stirrup itself. That attaches the leather to the stirrup. It then runs up into the buckle, where it goes through the buckle, then it comes all the way back down again and through the stirrup, the top of the stirrup, and you see there's a keeper there, and the keeper holds it all together so it stops it coming apart, so you don't get flappy bits. Then this piece will go back up through the top of the buckle, as you see it's a split buckle, and I'm going to count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and put the tang through the loop of the buckle, pull that tight, and that's where the leather sits. I've now got this long big flappy end, and we do the same as the girth, literally pushing it across the saddle out of the way. So it's all neat and tidy, ready to ride. I haven't taken this cloth off. Obviously we've got the sheepskin underneath. I can undo this. I do ride in this. It keeps the saddle clean. It's all right, but you know we want a nice bit of sheepskin when we're riding in the shows. So a little dirt here. Right, so we've got various bits of leather. The leather's there to tie things onto. You know, people will go out working in these saddles. They might take a bag of nails and a hammer, and quite often they would tie things to it. Lots of different reasons. This toggle, I suppose you'd call it, is for getting on, in the fact that you put your foot in the stirrup, you pull on this, rather than grabbing hold of the back of the saddle, and that pulls the saddle down onto the horse, not across the horse's back. So it's much easier for getting on. And you've got various other straps as well that you might use. They're utility straps. This is a utility saddle, it's a working saddle. I hope that explains a lot. Many people get these things wrong and I have to adjust them at shows. You see, it's one thing that I hope you find interesting. We'll come back in a second. I'll just explain briefly how to put the spurs on and then we can go and ride. There's a lot of ways people put bridles on. Whilst I was in Spain many years ago, I saw a person put his Vaquera bridle on a horse that had quite a long forelock, and I thought, that's clever, keeps everything out of the way, and this is how I tend to put bridles on. So as you see, I've got the bridle already prepared in my left hand over my left arm. Gives my hands freedom so I can actually do certain things. Now if we get the attention of Bernie, so I can undo the head collar. Whilst I undo it, I can separate the hair from behind the ears, and quite a way back from behind the ears, yeah, and I can grab hold of the forelock of the horse so I've got control of the horse. As you can see, this wild steed is raring to go, but I've got hold of the horse. I can transfer this to the left hand, where I can place the reins over the horse's neck. So if something happens, I've got the reins over the horse's neck, and I've still got hold of the forelock. I can transfer this part on top of the forelock, and I can change hands. This now gives me control of the horse and freedom of this hand, which all I have to do is to offer the bit to the horse's mouth, and then if I pull up on this, it pulls it into the horse's mouth. So he's not dropping the bit out of the mouth, I'm not having to fiddle around. Leaves the hand free. I can place this nicely over the ear on both sides, and just check the hair at the back. So pull that through, that's all neat and tidy. Just the brow band into place, and then I can do the nose band. As you see, the noseband's got not a serretta, but he's like a mini mock serretta. It is made of metal, but it's flexible, covered in leather. It's traditional in that once a horse has finished its working training and it becomes a Vaquera horse, or trained Vaquera horse, they still leave that on as a legacy as part of the bridle. We do the strap up. Lose the ends. And I have to do the curb. Pulling a bit forward to place the curb on, checking it, and it's in place. You'll see up the top here, if you can come around, Bob. Yeah, I parted the hair well back. Yeah, the reason I've done this is so that the bridle sits neatly on top of the hair, doesn't break any of the hair. So if you have got a long forelock, you're not breaking any of the hair behind the ears where the forelock hits, and that sits as a nice cushion for the headpiece. Right, to me, we now have this rearing Vaquera horse ready to leap into action. In fact, if I can find the key and wind him up, we'll get going. Right, we have, as I said, the Spanish spur. We all know they're slightly different to traditional English and dressage spurs. Long straps. People often get things wrong, like where the straps go and how the buckle attaches and how it's done up traditionally. So obviously got two, and it starts off with the buckle, importantly, doesn't go on the outside. In Spain it goes on the inside. So we loosen this off. I'll get my leg up now. Slide this over the heel, and it's handy if you've got a good piece of leather on the heel, yeah, so that you've actually got somewhere for the spur to sit. And follow me down, if I can get down. Feed the leather under the sole. So I've now got this long strap which goes around through the loop on the back of the spur. And pull that tight, and then the end can go through there and on with the buckle on the inside. If you've got a longer strap than this, which some straps are, you can always tuck it out the way, up behind here. That's quite commonly done as well. Here we are then, in the saddle, ready to go in the school. Today we're not going to do any filming in the school for you, which we may do later. As you see, I'm wearing a hard hat, which some people will applaud. It's not because of the horse, it's because yard policy, and I'm supposed to be a responsible adult. Me, responsible adult, but still. We've got children on the yard, and we have to at least demonstrate that this is the policy of the yard. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm sure it will probably raise more questions than I've answered. But enjoy, and if you've got a Varquera saddle, get it out and have a go.